Welcome to the game line. Ireland have once again proven that they are a force to be reckoned with in world rugby. The way that they managed to carve through, what I consider at least, an Italian side that is on the rise, is remarkable. Can anyone stop this green juggernaut this year? Today, we'll be looking at how this Irish team dominated the entirety of the match and what each team's strategy was going into the game. We'll also be looking at how they countered each other and what both can do to improve. Let's start with Ireland's great attack. What's scary about that 36-0 scoreline is that it could have been much worse. We'll get to Ireland's mistakes later, but it just illustrates how brutally effective this team's attack really is. The most glaring aspect to their attack for this game was their continuity. They were effectively unstoppable at the ruck for most of the match, and it led to really quick ball with a high number of phases. Despite the Italians defending valiantly, they just couldn't effectively stop the Irish momentum. The reason for this great continuity is twofold. The first is that their ball carriers work very hard in contact. This prolongs the time the ball is in the air and allows their support runners ample time to secure the ball. The second, but perhaps the most important reason, is that their support runners run really great lines. It's clear that they spend a ton of time practicing where the ball will go with each pattern. So, the team is always in sync and very rarely isolated. Because of this high speed at the ruck, they were very dominant in contact, and Italy struggled heavily to deal with this. Ireland had a colossal 444 post-contact meters, while Italy only managed 125. We'll get to why Ireland dominated so much on defense as well later, but even if we do account for the number of carries, then Ireland completely trounced them physically. Another big reason for this was that Ireland managed to stretch Italy's defense a lot across the pitch. They made a total of 255 passes, with a lot of them coming from blocker patterns and stack attacks. Because of this, Italy's defense was a bit more passive than it was against England a week prior. While Ireland's ruck speed certainly had something to do with this, I felt that in general Italy tried to be a bit more conservative in defense in order to minimize chances of a line break, which is something that we've seen this Irish team do on so many occasions before. The final point that I want to make about Ireland's attack is Jack Crowley's attack. For years, Johnny Sexton has been the captain at the helm for this Irish attack, and Jack Crowley is looking more and more like a worthy successor. Sexton used to attack from slightly deeper, while having loads of strong support runners to offload to, causing a lot of confusion amongst the defenders. Crowley, on the other hand, is a more aggressive 10 that likes to take the ball flat and with speed. That would also explain why this Irish team's attack seems to be a lot more direct and aggressive this year. He isn't afraid of taking the ball into contact and then offloading. This adds a whole other dynamic to their attack, and teams will have to be wary of this threat going forward. Now let's look at what was perhaps an even bigger reason for this dominant performance: Ireland's defense. Ireland used an aggressive defensive system where they looked to meet the Italian attackers behind the gain line. They also put a lot of emphasis in the ruck, and they managed to get a good amount of turnovers here. Italy's attacking system uses the width of the field more, and they rely on quick distribution between their pods and backline players to stretch defenses. Against Ireland, however, their attack wasn't nearly as effective as they would like it to be. Because Ireland made the ruck so messy at times, Italy were rarely presented with quick, clean ball. Furthermore, when they did try to spread the ball wider, Ireland would cut them off in the middle of the field because of their aggressive line speed. Ireland weren't just dominant in attacking contact like I mentioned previously, but they were also dominant in the tackle as well. They managed to hold the ball up and drive back the Italians on multiple occasions. This gave them enough time to create strong connections between defenders for the next phase of attack. As I mentioned previously, Italy's defense was a bit more passive in nature. They put special emphasis on watching what the first receiver, usually Crowley, does. They didn't necessarily shoot up to cut off Ireland's outside options, and instead chose strong connections between defenders to prevent a line break. When Ireland did manage to spread the ball wide, Italy used a drift defensive system and used the touchline as an extra defender. This idea can work, but Ireland just had too much time on the ball in this game. It was effective on some level, as the Irish didn't completely cut them to pieces, but they were very rarely threatening to stop Ireland's momentum when they got their attack going. There was one area though where I thought Italy did a good job at times, and that was the breakdown. While Ireland's support runners rarely leave their carriers exposed, there were a few moments when that was not the case. I thought Italy did really well to pounce on the chances that they did have. They managed to gain quite a few penalties on the ground by jackling. Ireland did however find space in the midfield on two levels. The first was that they were constantly looking to put chip kicks in behind Italy's defence. They were constantly scanning the spaces behind Italy's defensive line for opportunities to exploit. And it paid off for them. It created a lot of chaos and uncertainty amongst the Italian defenders. The second was that they managed to find space between defenders in the middle of the field, specifically during strike moves. Another area where Italy struggled was in their box kicks. While the kicks themselves weren't dreadful, they were charged down on multiple occasions, and it put them under even more pressure because they couldn't exit cleanly. The set-piece battle was once again dominated by the Irish. Ireland had a 100% success rate for both the scrum and the line-out, while Italy had an 80% and a 64% success rate, respectively. I think the scrum stats are a little bit misleading, as I felt that Ireland gained some good attacking platforms throughout the match with not a lot of pressure. In the line-out, however, the Italians really struggled, both at the source and the ensuing strike moves. While Ireland had a very convincing performance, there were still some fairly silly errors throughout the match. The scoreline could have been a lot more in favour of them, but they kept making some basic errors in their handling and discipline. Another small thing that I'd like to note is that Jack Crowley has been charged down for 2 games in a row now. While this doesn't necessarily mean this is a big issue, it might be something for them to look at. This is likely happening because Crowley is taking the ball too flat when there are kicking opportunities, so better communication might be the solution. Ireland can be satisfied with another solid performance under their belts. But they still have some tough games ahead, so while they can be confident, they can't be complacent. Italy, on the other hand, will be fairly disappointed that they didn't push the Irish harder than they did. It doesn't get any easier for them though, as they'll have to face an underperforming France team that's under the pump. If you like this video, then please consider liking and subscribing. And if you'd like to see more tactical analyses in the future, then make sure to stick around. See you next time.